Alcatraz City Cruises is the official ferry service provider for Alcatraz Island, offering visitors a chance to explore the historic site. They operate daily departures from Pier 33, Alcatraz Landing, located between the San Francisco Ferry Building and Fisherman's Wharf. It's recommended to reserve tickets in advance through their official website to ensure availability. For more information on tour options, schedules, and ticketing, you can visit their official website.
Here are a few important rules that we ask you to follow while on Alcatraz Island. Some areas of the island are unsafe and closed to the public. These places are clearly marked with fences and barricades. Do not enter.
The Alcatraz Day Tour offers an immersive experience of one of America's most iconic historical sites. Departing from Pier 33 in San Francisco, this tour includes a round-trip ferry ride to Alcatraz Island, access to the prison cell house, and a self-guided audio tour narrated by former inmates and guards. Visitors can also explore the island's historic gardens, exhibits, and enjoy panoramic views of San Francisco Bay. Key details. Duration, approximately 2.5 hours. Availability, daily, with departures from 8:40 a.m. to 3:50 p.m. Inclusions, ferry transportation, cell house audio tour, access to exhibits and gardens. Booking. Tickets can be purchased through the official provider, Alcatraz City Cruises. Tips for visitors. Arrive at least 45 minutes before your scheduled departure for ID verification. Dress in layers, as the island can be windy and cool. Food is not available on the island, so consider eating beforehand or bringing snacks to consume on the ferry. The Alcatraz Day Tour stands as one of the most captivating historical experiences available to visitors in San Francisco. Known for its stark beauty, chilling history, and dramatic views, Alcatraz Island has evolved from a federal prison into a poignant reminder of America's complex relationship with justice and incarceration. The day tour provides not only a glimpse into the prison's storied past, but also a rich exploration of the island's natural and cultural significance. The journey to Alcatraz Island begins with a scenic ferry ride across the bay. This short voyage offers breathtaking views of the Golden Gate Bridge, the San Francisco skyline, and of course, the island itself looming ahead like a fortress. Once on the island, visitors are free to explore at their own pace, making the day tour ideal for those who prefer a flexible and immersive experience. The centerpiece of the tour is the self-guided audio program, Doing Time, the Alcatraz Cell House Tour, which leads guests through the actual prison building. Narrated by former inmates and correctional officers, the audio tour brings the past to life through personal stories, sound effects, and evocative details. As visitors move through the narrow cell blocks, the solitary confinement area, and the recreation yard, they gain an authentic sense of the isolation and routine that define daily life for prisoners on Alcatraz. Beyond the cell house, the tour offers access to the island's lesser-known treasures. Alcatraz is home to lush gardens, originally cultivated by military families and inmates, which have been lovingly restored. The island also serves as a sanctuary for seabirds and a place of reflection, with several exhibits highlighting its role in Native American history, particularly during the occupation of Alcatraz by the Indians of all tribes from 1969 to 1971.
Still arriving, welcome as well. Once again, please join us here for this quick orientation. Once again, I'll be going over the audio tour and a few other quick rules and information. Once again, we'll be getting started very shortly. All right, raise your hand if it's your first time visiting Alcatraz. Awesome, welcome. Raise your hand if you're visiting from outside of the United States. Awesome, welcome as well. Raise your hand if it's your first time visiting California. Very cool. Board behind me and on a white sign behind you guys as well. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy the rest of your visit on Alcatraz today. And once again, to pick up your audio tour, you'd follow this path on your right all the way up the hill to the prison entrance. And if anyone's interested in joining on right here, and yeah, Brian would be your guide. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy your visit today.
Alcatraz self-guided audio program, officially titled Doing Time, the Alcatraz Cell House Tour, is one of the highlights of the Alcatraz Day Tour and a powerful way to experience the prison's history firsthand. This immersive audio tour takes visitors on a walking journey through the actual cell house where inmates were once held, offering a deeply atmospheric and emotionally engaging experience. Key features of the audio program: narrated by real voices. The audio is narrated by former Alcatraz inmates and correctional officers, offering a rare personal glimpse into life on the island. Their first-hand accounts bring authenticity and emotion to the tour. Route and stops. The tour guides you through key parts of the prison, including the main cell blocks, A, B, C, and D wings, the solitary confinement cells, the mess hall, the library, the recreation yard, the warden's office, the site of the famous 1946 Battle of Alcatraz. Sound effects and storytelling. You'll hear the clang of prison doors, murmurs of prisoners, and background noise that mimics what it might have sounded like during the prison's active years, enhancing the sense of being inside. Length. The audio tour lasts about 35 to 45 minutes, but you can pause and take your time exploring each area. Languages available. The program is offered in multiple languages, including English, Spanish, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Mandarin, Portuguese, and Dutch. Accessibility. Headsets are provided, and there are also captioned and American Sign Language versions available for those with hearing impairments. What makes it special? Unlike traditional museum guides, this audio tour allows you to walk at your own pace, explore areas in more detail if something catches your interest, and truly immerse yourself in the atmosphere of Alcatraz. If you're planning to visit, this audio program is included with the Alcatraz Day Tour ticket, and you receive it as soon as you enter the cell house.
Yep, let's continue. Right.
English?
English.
Okay, press the 3 now.
I have only one because my two is already adult.
A block had a more limited and specific function. Oldest part of the prison. A block was part of the original military prison built in the early 1900s when Alcatraz served as a U.S. Army fort and disciplinary barracks. Rarely used for inmates. During the time Alcatraz operated as a federal penitentiary, 1934 to 1963, A block was mostly unused for housing inmates. Instead, it was often used for storage, offices, or special purposes such as housing inmates in transit or quarantine. The cells in A block are generally smaller and more cramped than those in B and C blocks. The layout and design reflect older construction methods, with heavy iron doors and less modern ventilation. A block has a more museum-like quality today and is often preserved as a historical exhibit rather than part of the main tour path for general cell house life. Some parts of A block have also been used for temporary exhibits or interpretive displays, including information on the military history of the island, early prison administration, and original construction elements. Alcatraz Island, often referred to as the Rock, is famous for its role as a maximum security federal prison that held some of the most notorious criminals in American history. At the heart of this prison stood Cell Block B, one of the two primary housing units for the general inmate population. Though less infamous than the isolation cells of D block or the historical foundation of A block, Cell Block B played a central role in the daily operations of Alcatraz, serving as the setting for routine prison life under the watchful eye of some of the strictest correctional policies in U.S. history. Each cell, measuring approximately 5 feet wide and 9 feet deep, was a stark and minimalistic space. Furnishings were limited to a steel-framed bed, a small desk, a toilet, and a sink. There was no privacy, no luxury, only the bare essentials necessary to maintain order and function. What distinguished B block from the more extreme environments of the prison was its role as the main living area for general population inmates. Visitors can stand in the narrow aisle of Broadway, peer into the cells, and imagine the daily experience of living behind bars on an island isolated by frigid waters and strong currents. In conclusion, Cell Block B may not hold the drama of escape attempts or the infamy of solitary confinement, but it was the heartbeat of Alcatraz prison. C Block housed the majority of Alcatraz's inmate population, those who were not in isolation or punishment, but still under the tight security that defined life on the island. What made C Block particularly significant was its central role in some of Alcatraz's most dramatic events. It was from here that several escape attempts were planned, including the most famous one in June 1962, when Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers created dummy heads and tunneled out through the rear air vents of their cells in C Block. Their daring escape, immortalized in books and film, began in the quiet monotony of this very cell block. Today, visitors to Alcatraz can walk through C Block as part of the Cave Doing Time self-guided audio tour, which brings to life the voices and experiences of former guards and inmates. The tour covers the layout of the block, the routines, and the personal stories that unfolded within its steel bars. Cell Block C was the beating heart of the Alcatraz prison system, where the majority of inmates lived out their sentences in quiet repetition, watched over by guards, and surrounded by concrete, steel, and the cold waters of San Francisco Bay. Though it may not be as sensational as other parts of the prison, it represents the everyday reality of incarceration on Alcatraz, a place where silence, structure, and solitude defined existence. Through C Block, we gain a deeper understanding of the human side of life behind bars on America's most infamous island prison. Among the cold corridors and unforgiving cells of Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, no place carried more fear and isolation than Cell Block D, known as the segregation unit, or more ominously, the hold. D Block was where inmates were sent for punishment, isolation, and behavioral control. D Block was reserved for those who were considered dangerous, disruptive, or in need of strict disciplinary measures. D Block was structurally similar to the other blocks. However, its atmosphere and purpose were far different. Of the 42 cells in D Block, a portion were designated for administrative segregation. Inmates who were removed from the general population but not completely confined. These prisoners were allowed occasional exercise or reading time. The rest of the cells, particularly cells 9 through 14, were the most feared. Solitary confinement cells, also known as the hole. These solitary cells were small, dark, and oppressive. Inmates confined there were often stripped of basic comforts, no bedding, minimal clothing, and in some cases, no light. One cell in particular, cell 14D, was a completely darkened cell used for the most extreme punishment. Prisoners in the hole could be left in total darkness for up to 19 days at a time, with only a hole in the floor for sanitation. They received bread and water twice a day and hot meals every third day. The men who found themselves in D Block were not necessarily the most violent criminals, but those who broke prison rules, acted out, or challenged authority. Some were placed in solitary for attempting escape, fighting, or refusing orders. Others were repeat troublemakers. D Block also features in many of Alcatraz's legendary tales. Stories of ghost sightings, screams in the night, and chilling cold in cell 14D have fueled speculation that the block is haunted, further deepening its eerie legacy. Whether fact or folklore, these tales reflect the emotional weight the block carries, even decades after the prison closed. Alcatraz's library, Learning Behind Bars. The library at Alcatraz offered inmates a rare sense of freedom through reading and self-education. Located above the dining hall, it housed over 15,000 books, including classics, law texts, and educational materials. Inmates could not enter the library themselves, but ordered books through a request system, receiving them in their cells. Reading was one of the few approved pastimes, and many prisoners spent hours immersed in literature. Today, it remains a symbol of how intellect and hope could thrive, even behind bars. The 1962 Alcatraz escape, a mystery that endures. In June 1962, Alcatraz inmates Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin carried out the prison's most famous escape. Over months, they secretly dug through their cell walls using handmade tools and created lifelike dummy heads to fool guards during bed checks. On June 11th, they slipped through the holes, climbed to the roof, and launched a raft made of raincoats into San Francisco Bay. Though a massive manhunt followed, they were never found. Authorities believed they drowned, but no bodies were ever recovered. Rumors, alleged sightings, and even a mysterious letter in 2013 have fueled speculation that they may have survived. The escape remains unsolved and continues to fascinate people worldwide, symbolizing both the ingenuity and desperation of life behind bars on the rock. The Warden's office at Alcatraz was the center of authority and discipline on the island. From this modest but secure space, the Warden oversaw daily operations, enforced strict rules, and maintained control over both inmates and staff. It symbolized power and order in a place known for its toughness. Though rarely seen by prisoners, the office represented the ever-present leadership guiding the prison's rigid structure and unyielding routine. The mess hall at Alcatraz was one of the few places where all inmates gathered, making it both a center of daily routine and potential danger. Located near the main cell blocks, the mess hall served 3 meals a day, with strict rules and tight security. Inmates sat in assigned seats, ate quickly, and were constantly watched by armed guards. The food was surprisingly decent, as authorities believed well-fed prisoners were less likely to cause trouble. However, the mess hall was always tense. Any gathering of convicts increased the risk of violence or uprising. To prevent this, tear gas canisters were mounted on the ceiling, ready to be activated in an emergency. Despite its function as a communal space, the mess hall reinforced Alcatraz's core values: order, discipline, and control. Today, visitors can walk through the preserved hall, imagining the quiet intensity of mealtimes in one of America's most infamous prisons.
Episode 3, the episode.
The Alcatraz Gift Shop is a popular stop for visitors to Alcatraz Island, offering a variety of unique and themed merchandise. Located near the ferry terminal on the island, the gift shop features an array of items that reflect the history and legacy of the infamous prison. Visitors can find everything from historical books, postcards, and prison-themed memorabilia, to t-shirts, mugs, and souvenirs, like miniature replicas of Alcatraz. Additionally, many of the products feature iconic symbols of the prison, including the prison's famous rock, or illustrations of historical figures associated with the site. For those interested in learning more about the history of Alcatraz, there are also educational materials, such as books on the escape attempts, inmate stories, and the history of the prison system. The shop's offerings cater to a wide range of interests, from casual tourists to history buffs. Proceeds from the shop support the preservation of the Alcatraz National Historic Site, ensuring that future generations can experience and learn about the island's complex history. If you're planning a visit, the gift shop provides an excellent way to bring home a piece of Alcatraz's storied past. The Alcatraz Day Tour is designed to be both educational and contemplative. It appeals to history enthusiasts, families, and curious travelers alike. The stories of infamous inmates like Al Capone and Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz, are compelling, but so too are the tales of escape attempts, harsh prison conditions, and the enduring human spirit. In conclusion, the Alcatraz Day Tour offers far more than a simple visit to a former prison. It is a multi-layered journey into the past, set against the backdrop of one of America's most iconic landscapes. Whether drawn by the legends, the architecture, or the natural beauty, visitors leave Alcatraz with a deeper understanding of the island's role in American history and a profound sense of the stories that its weathered walls still hold.